I was stuck in Denver. Not the end of the world, sure, but not exactly paradise either. The airport was buzzing in that frantic, half-silent way only airports know how to be. People everywhere, every seat taken, every outlet occupied. You'd think electricity was currency the way folks were hunched over sockets, guarding their chargers like life rafts on a sinking ship. My flight had been delayed. Again, 6 hours between connections. I had nowhere to go and nothing urgent to do. I remember just pacing a bit, checking for a seat, anywhere, and then settling on a patch of carpet near a gate that didn't even have my flight on the screen. It was a kind of layover where time didn't just pass. It dragged you through molasses. And while I could have buried myself in my phone or headphones, something made me look around that day. Just observe. That's when I noticed her. She was maybe mid-30s, business casual, but wrinkled and weary. Her bag was open, papers poking out. She kept unlocking her phone every few seconds, fidgeting with it, sighing. You could see it in her body language. Something was eating at her, something more than a delayed flight. Then I noticed the panic in her eyes as she stared at the screen. That sinking feeling you get when the battery turns red and flashes. 1%, then gone. She looked around desperately, like maybe, just maybe, an outlet would open up in the next 30 seconds. It didn't. Now, I don't always speak up. I tend to keep to myself, especially in crowded places. But something nudged me. I reached into my backpack, pulled out my power bank, fully charged, a miracle in itself, and held out to her. "Hey," I said, "you can use this if you want." She blinked like I'd spoken in another language. "Are you serious?" "Yeah, go for it." She took it like I'd handed her gold, plugged in fast. Her shoulders dropped, a breath released, like she'd been holding it for days. "Thank you," she said, eyes wide. "You don't know how much this means." We sat there in the middle of all that chaos, just two strangers with a cord between them. And then, like these things tend to happen when you least expect it, we started talking. Turns out she had just come from a job interview, first one in over a year. She had been laid off during the pandemic. And since then, nothing had really clicked. She told me she wasn't sure she was cut out for it anymore, that maybe too much time had passed, that the world moved on without her. I remember looking at her and saying, "No way, you're more than cut out for it." We talked for maybe half an hour, about work, about life, about the weird in-between stages when you're not sure if you're failing or just waiting. She smiled a few times, but there was still this uncertainty behind it. Eventually, my boarding call came. I got up, and she handed the charger back to me with both hands like it was sacred. "Really, thank you," she said. "Not just for this, but for seeing me." I nodded, wished her luck, and that was that. I didn't even catch her name. Fast forward a few weeks. I'm back home, back to work, back to the grind. I sign up for this local networking event. One of those things I usually ignore, but I felt like going. No reason, really. Just a gut thing. I'm nursing a lukewarm coffee and making awkward small talk when someone taps me on the shoulder. "I don't know if you remember me," she says, "but you let me borrow a charger in Denver." And there she was. Same face, same eyes, but something had changed. She looked brighter, more grounded, like someone who had taken a deep breath and finally felt air in their lungs. I just stared for a second, then smiled. "No way." She laughed. "I got the job. Moved to a new city. Things are good now. Better than they've been in a long time." "That's amazing," I said. "Seriously, I'm so happy for you." She leaned in a little, voice softer. "You know, that moment stuck with me, not because of the charger, but because it reminded me that people still care, that someone saw me, believed in me, when I didn't believe in myself." I didn't know what to say. It's rare, right? To see the ripple effect of something small you did, to have it circle back and hit you like a wave you never expected. We talked for another hour about everything and nothing. She told me she was now mentoring women re-entering the workforce, helping them rebuild confidence, navigating interviews, learning to show up as themselves without apology. "I just want to be the person for someone else," she said. "The way you were for me that day." and I realized something had shifted in me too. Before Denver, I never really thought about how much impact a small act could have. A smile, a kind word, a power bank. But after that day, I started paying more attention to the woman struggling with her bags at the train station, to the guy talking a little too loud at the coffee shop, maybe just craving connection, to the kid scanning the crowd for a friendly face before stepping on stage. I started noticing people again, not just as background noise, but as stories waiting to unfold. I began offering small things, directions, a seat, a compliment, where before I might have stayed silent. Because what I learned that day in Denver is this: kindness echoes. You don't always get to see how. You don't get updates or thank you cards. Most of the time, your moment of grace gets absorbed into someone else's journey quietly. But sometimes you get to see it bounce back. And when it does, it changes you. Now, whenever I pack for a trip, I always bring my charger. Not just because my phone needs it, but because someone else might. It's not about the battery anymore. It's about that connection, however fleeting. That chance to remind someone that they matter, that they're seen. We all move so fast. Heads down, ears plugged, wrapped up in our own chaos. But when you pause just for a second, you might see someone standing on the edge of unraveling. Someone whose whole day or whole life is teetering. And in that second, you get to choose. Look away or lean in. I'm not saying you have to save the world, but maybe you can save a moment. And maybe that moment becomes a turning point for someone else. Just like it was for her and for me